Hey everyone, welcome back to Tech News Scoops. Today, we're diving deep into Apple's brand new display lineup. They've just dropped a big upgrade to an old favorite and unveiled an absolute powerhouse. Let's get into it.
So, Apple just hit us with two new 27-inch 5K monitors. The big question on everyone's mind is pretty simple. What's the real difference here, and which one is actually the right one for your setup?
All right, let's kick things off with a familiar face in the lineup, the one that just got a really nice set of upgrades, the new Studio display. At its heart, you're still getting that gorgeous 27-inch 5K Retina panel that we all know and love. I mean, we're talking over 14 million pixels, 600 nits of brightness, and that beautiful P3 wide color. It's just a perfect canvas for all kinds of work, whether you're editing photos in Lightroom or laying down tracks in Pro Tools. But, okay, here's what's new and exciting for this year. The built-in 12-megapixel center stage camera gets a solid image quality boost. The 6-speaker system has new woofers for 30% deeper bass, and, this is a big one, it now has powerful Thunderbolt 5 connectivity. And that Thunderbolt 5 port is a total game changer for cleaning up your desk. A single cable can power and fast charge a 14-inch MacBook Pro, connect all your fast accessories, and you can even daisy chain up to 4 of these displays. Just imagine that, a massive workspace with nearly 60 million pixels. But now, let's talk about the main event, the all-new, totally re-engineered Studio Display XDR. And yeah, this is where things get really, really interesting for high-end professionals. You know, Apple isn't pulling any punches here. They are flat out calling this the world's best pro display. And when you start to look at the specs, you can see they're coming in hot to back that claim up. So the magic really starts with its mini LED backlight, which has over 2,000 local dimming zones. Just think of those as tiny, individual, super smart lights behind the screen. This gives the display insane control over what's bright and what's dark, so you get these deep, inky blacks right next to super bright highlights. And because of that incredible backlight tech, the peak brightness just skyrockets to an amazing 2,000 nits for HDR content. To put that into perspective, that's way, way brighter than most high-end TVs. It makes HDR videos and photos look unbelievably realistic. And for anything in motion, this thing is packing 120 Hz refresh rate with adaptive sync. That means the screen is updating 120 times every second, and it syncs perfectly with your computer's output. The result? No screen tearing, just buttery smooth scrolling, animation, and video playback. So who is this beast actually for? Well, Apple is aiming this squarely at top-tier professionals with very specific needs. We're talking filmmakers grading HDR footage in Premiere, 3D artists working in Houdini, print designers who need perfect color, and even, get this, diagnostic radiologists who can use new presets to view medical images. All right, this is the moment you've been waiting for. We've seen what they can do on their own, but how do these two really stack up when you put them side by side? Looking at it from 30,000 feet, the difference is crystal clear. The Studio display is a phenomenal premium all-around monitor. The XDR, though, is a true pro powerhouse, and it's all defined by that advanced backlight technology and that pro-level 120 Hz refresh rate. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty with the spec sheet. You can really see the XDR's advantages laid out here. That insane 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio, the added Adobe RGB color support for print pros, and its higher 140 watts of charging power. That's enough to fast charge even the big 16-inch MacBook Pro. And look, you don't just have to take my word for it. Apple's own hardware chief, John Ternus, came right out and said the XDR isn't just a small step up. He says it's built to fundamentally transform how the most demanding pros get their work done. So let's talk about the bottom line. What's all this awesome new tech gonna cost? And maybe more importantly, what does this big move from Apple really signal for the rest of the pro display market? The upgraded Studio display with all its new bells and whistles and that Thunderbolt 5 port is gonna start at $1599. And then we have the Studio Display XDR. With its mini LED and 120 Hz panel, it more than doubles that price, starting at $3299. So the takeaway here is pretty clear, right? Apple has created two very different tiers. The Studio display is a fantastic, premium all-rounder for most creative pros. But the Studio Display XDR, that's a specialized, no-compromise powerhouse for the absolute top tier of creators.
And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. By pushing the tech and the price tag this far with the XDR, is Apple setting a new, much more expensive bar for what we consider a professional-grade display? A lot to think about, for sure. Thanks for joining us.